Congratulations to Isabel Middle School teacher, Mr. John Eric Sand, for being recognized as the 2020 Project Lead the Way National Outstanding Teacher Award. He was selected among 76 exemplary teachers and educational leaders at the Project Lead the Way Conference for his outstanding efforts to empower and inspire students. So congratulations to Mr. Sand. And in closing, I'd like to recognize two of our administrators who have been selected as AXA Administrator of the Years. AXA stands for the Association of California School Administrators. Congratulations to Mrs. Christine Shefferly, who earned the Curriculum Instruction Administrator of the Year. And also congratulations to Mrs. Robin Gillette, who earned the Continuation Educational Options Administrator of the Year. Both Mrs. Shefferly and Mrs. Gillette are well deserving of this prestigious recognition and will be honored along with other Region 13 administrators on Friday, May 1st at the Ventura Marriott. And again, congratulations to Mrs. Shefferly and Mrs. Gillette. That concludes my report. Thank you.
All right, we are going to go on to Superintendent Committee updates, and the Board of Trustees are appointed to committees and attend meetings accordingly. At this time, board members may wish to update their colleagues and or ask for feedback. We'll start with Ms. Urias.
Currently, I'm serving on the Dual Language Immersion Committee. However, I believe Chrissy Shefferly will be making a report on that program later in the program. So I'll let her do that. Thank you.
Mr. Lehman?
We got the problem though.
There's been no official meeting since we last met. However, I do want to update the public that both Ms. Colbeck and I are on the joint committee with the city of San Paulo. So we do need that.
So effective.
Concerns that can come up in regards to school safety, traffic patterns, whatever it may be. And as a result of those meetings that we had with them, we were able to work out the crosswalk issue in some schools. So that's the latest update that we have. And Ms. Colbeck has some more to share.
Anything else, Ms. Colbeck? No, we don't. Okay. Ms. Mead?
No update from that.
And then I am a member of the Scholarship Committee and here in San Paulo, and just some good news. We still have a good amount of money in that Scholarship Committee, and there will be ample scholarships available, and you'll be advised when the date is that you need to get in your applications at the high school. So congratulations on that. Okay. We're going to move on now to recognition. Educator of the Month for February 2020, Isabel Middle School, Mr. Tom Mendoza, and I'm going to turn that over to Dr. Cora.
Okay, this time I'm going to turn the presentation over to Principal of Isabel Middle School, Mr. Ron Briggs.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam President, board members, Superintendent Dr. Ed Cora, and Cabinet, and all SPSD staff, students, and parents. It's my honor to present the 2020 Isabel Educator of the Month to Mr. Tommy Mendoza. I've seen Tommy work personally with a lot of our at-risk students, and I've seen him interacting with his students in PE. And he always strives to make positive connections with students, and he cares about them, and they know it. A fellow teacher stated, I had the pleasure of working with Tommy for the past 21 years, and I've seen firsthand his dedication to students here at Isabel. Not only is he an outstanding teacher, but he goes above and beyond by working with the Aspire program, helping to plan and teach Saturday school, organize the 8th grade fundraiser to help students pay for their Magic Mountain ticket, and work with students in danger of not promoting during his prep period. Tommy has a great relationship with at-risk students and goes above and beyond to help them. Congratulations, Tommy. I want to personally thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you, everybody, for this award. It really is an honor to be Teacher of the Month here at San Paulo School District. Once again, very, very good. I enjoy working with everybody. So many people here tonight that I've got to know over the years. Truly has been an honor. With that being said, I do want to take a moment to say something else. Some recent information has come through that that's being made. This is going to affect many people, many real lives. There's a couple of people I knew that are here, and I apologize for listening to their conversation earlier. But when you hear somebody say that they're going to have to move out because they can't afford rent or they're going to use their medical, this is affecting real people. My biggest concern is that of all the avenues gone through and research, is there any way that other things can be done for those? As I said, it's been an honor working in this district for so long, working with students. I can honestly say that I still get up every morning looking forward to go to work, to see the people I work with, to see the students that I get to work with on a daily basis. And I just hope that all avenues are researched before we go forward with anything that might affect people. Great. Thank you once again for the honor.
So at this time, Mr. Briggs is going to go ahead and continue on with our Classified Employee of the Month.
Okay, at this point, I'm proud to present Ms. Noemi Rodriguez as our 2020 Classified Employee of the Month. And I've had the pleasure of working with Noemi for the past 2 years. She does an amazing job in our attendance department. She's organized, hardworking, and a positive force in the office. She keeps a lot of plates spinning in the air and always has time for parent and student needs. She's wonderful to work with. A couple of comments from staff members who nominated her for this award. Noemi has a huge job to do and always seems to do it with a smile on her face. Anytime someone needs something, she will set aside what she was doing to make sure they get the help they need. And she is a very important part of a successful office staff team. I think the honor is well deserved. Another staff member stated Noemi is extremely hardworking and diligent, but a very demanding task. She not only does attendance, but coordinates all the independent study and fills in many other roles in the office. She's an exceptional member of the Isabel staff. Let's have another round of applause for Noemi.
Thank you for the recognition. I enjoy my job, and it's always nice to be recognized for your job well done. While I'm thankful for this recognition, I am conflicted. The celebration because of the fact that many of my colleagues here are losing their jobs. This is my 6th year here in this district, and I enjoy working in this district. And I just hope that tonight, we would like to consider the impact of the city. Thank you, Mr. Briggs, for your support and everybody who supports me. Thank you.
Can we have our family come up for the picture? Come on down.
I'm sorry, I know everybody's waiting for me. Next, item 5C is Bell Middle School Spotlight. Mr. Briggs will give a brief presentation to the Board of Trustees on the Isabel Middle School Robotics team. Mr. Briggs.
I would actually like to bring up last year's Ventura County Teacher of the Year, Mr. Jan-Erik Sand. He's a pioneer teacher in the world of robotics, design, and modeling. And he's here tonight with a few students to do a presentation on our new robotics team.
Man, that's why we can't stay there.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Cora, members of the cabinet, as well as Mr. Briggs, for this opportunity. To share with everyone a little bit about FIRST, the mission of FIRST is to inspire young people to be science and technology leaders and innovators by engaging them in exciting mentor-based programs that build science, engineering, and technology skills that inspire innovation and foster well-rounded life capabilities, including self-confidence, communication, and leadership. So much more than FIRST, though, is about just the building of robots. First Tech Challenge, which we participated in for the very first time, consists of up to 15 team members from grades 7 through 12, where they're challenged to design, build, program, and operate robots to compete in a head-to-head challenge in an alliance format. So this year, as an Isabel Middle School team, we participated in a league that was hosted in Ojai. And following 3 league meets, we participated in an interleague tournament that was held in Palmdale at the Aerospace Academy and consisted of 25 teams. So just to give a very simple recap on how the team and the season went overall, our very ambitious goal for the first event was to not come in last place. Well, we far exceeded that. And so I'm proud to say that by the end of the season, after so much sharing of information, skills, knowledge, and abilities, we finished the season in 4th place, which is really incredible as a middle school team. So I thought, what better way to attest to the success of such a program than to have the students kind of do the talking for us. So I have 3 of our amazing 8th graders here that all played a critical role on the team, and they're going to showcase a little bit about what our robots can do. We've lost track of the amount of hours we put into this, but to everyone that has played a leadership role in making this possible, we really cannot thank you enough. This program is a true testament to the opportunities that our students deserve. So thank you for making that possible, and I'm so happy to hear about them thinking about their futures and hearing all the positive things from their parents as well. So thank you again, and to the students. Hello. The robotics program that I was in taught me many things about robots that I never knew before, and it helped me understand the importance that they have in everything that we do, and
My name is Alexander Sanchez, and I enjoy the first tech challenge a lot because we had, let's just say it wasn't the easiest time. Our first robot, we had to build in 4 days due to us starting very late. Our second robot, we built in 5 because we scrapped everything. And our final robot, which is the one that was driving around like the first tech challenge, I believe it teaches, or at least it taught me that, like how to get around things and just challenges in general. It was fun. My role on the team was at first a wire, then I switched to builder, then I switched to like.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth, and I'm glad that Mr. Sam gives me the opportunity to be in the robotics team. I thought it was a great experience, and I learned a lot from it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And thank you everyone for giving us the opportunity to showcase this great program that we have going through. Thank you.
Does that clean house by any chance?
Yeah, they do have robotic
Thank you
vacuum
so
cleaners.
much for that. That was wonderful. And now we're going to move on to public comments. Members of the public that wish to address the board must first complete a speaker form. Speaker forms must be submitted no later than 5 minutes prior to the topic coming up for discussion on the agenda. When addressing the Board of Trustees, please stand and be recognized by the board president. State your full name and direct your comments to the entire board. Please limit remarks to 3 minutes for all presentations unless otherwise informed. In accordance with Education Code 35145.5, the board cannot enter into a formal discussion or make a decision on any matter not on the agenda for this meeting. Okay, I'm going to call up Corinne Bell as our first speaker.
Good evening, President Thompson, members of the board. My name is Corinne Bell. I'm a resident of Santa Paula. I have 2 children that 4-H program. And I'm speaking here tonight on behalf of many, many parents and families of children who are in FFA, 4-H, range, and also independent that will be participating in the Ventura County Fair. I'm concerned about the proposed start of the school calendar. And as a former educator, I realize how critical the first few days of school are. So I think it's really important to consider this when deciding on the calendar. And if the calendar can't be changed for this upcoming school year, maybe in the future, if school districts would work with the Fair Board and maybe coordinate this so we don't have these conflicts in the future. So I think these are really critical programs for our youth, and I think as educators we should all respect these programs that are pathways for career development and enriches our children's lives. So with that, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Jeanette Ortega.
Members of the board, Dr. Cora, everybody in the audience. I do have something prepared for you that things may come out when I get to home as best as I can remember. Things that are happening right now in this district didn't happen overnight. It took many, many years of previous boards taking the board as a social club and voting and getting things that would recognize them in this community. Unfortunately, now we're at this place, and I see so many faces here. And in a year and a half of coming to these meetings, this is probably the most people I've seen here. This isn't coming one night is not gonna change what's happening on this board. You have to become invested. You have to become really familiar with what's going on and not listen to what's going on Facebook or Instagram or anything. Coming here and reading and learning what's going on here is what's important, and not just showing your face one day, because everybody is affected by this, especially our children. Especially our children. The decisions that this board has made previously has got us to this point, and it's sad, and it's very sad. My daughter now suffers PTSD because Santa Paula PD neglected to advise Santa Paula that they were going to have police activity on Palm Court. My daughter was confronted by the assailant because they neglected to put them on soft lockdown. So now I have 2 children that have mental conditions because of people's lack of attentiveness, because they don't want to do their jobs properly. Just on the AP meeting, I was lied to by one of the principals, both of them, vice principal and principal. There was a mistake made, and they called it a malfunction by the valves. That's what gets me so angry, is that people cannot be honest and say, yeah, I made a mistake, let's make it better. You can't keep lying to parents. You can't keep lying to these people that it's going to get better, and keep putting band-aids on things, because look where we're at. Look where we're at. People are really going to have to go. Schools are really going to have to close. And what's going to happen next? This is just the beginning. If you think this is something, keep neglecting to come, and you'll see what else happens. Thank you.
I'd like to call up next Patricia Zavala.
Good evening, board. Members of the audience, my name is Patricia Zavala, district attorney. I'm here again for the 4th time in a row to address the urgency of the issue regarding the all-gender restroom system. It's been 63 days. Equality can't wait, and I understand that the logs will be ready in a few weeks.
Had this issue been addressed when it was first brought to the board, it would have been 63 days and counting. This board and the district's procrastination and bad decisions has led the district down a path that could have been prevented. Again, this can't wait, along with the many other issues that have been presented. And like Jeanette said, this didn't happen overnight, and it's our children that will be affected by this. We're all gonna remember this when it's time to vote during the upcoming elections. Thank you, Mr. Wallace. Mr. Reese.
Hi, my name is Auris, and I'm here to talk on behalf of genital residents. So I'm a student in South Paulo High School, and I just want to say first off, thank you for coming to a decision, because I know it wasn't easy and it was a lot to look at. And it's a good start, but what's the frustrating part was it did take 63 days. It was frustrating because it's something that we needed, and it's like you expect us to go to school, because what happens if we don't go to school? We get punished. If you don't do your job, you get punished. And waiting too long to make a decision can affect more than just one student. It could affect families. And we started the gender interactions on Tuesday, but honestly, it's still nerve-wracking to go ask for the key. It causes too much anxiety. I tried to go for the first time again. Too much anxiety trying to ask for that key because you're either too afraid that you're bothering them, or you don't know what the response is going to be, or like how people are going to be towards you. And so it's important to get those thoughts renewed so that we can decrease that level of anxiety and just know that there's something there for us. And there's been raised the issue with some students are like, oh, what if we open those bathrooms and something bad happens? But every single day something goes on in those bathrooms. You can't change what students are going to do, but what we can do is do something to benefit every single student, because it does affect our mental health, but also affects our physical health. Because what happens is we don't eat or we don't drink anything. It either causes
101 people.
Worse. It can cause people to really just be fearful of school and not want to show up, and that can do a lot. So, and I also wanted to leave you with some questions of how are we going to expand this to other schools, like to the middle school and to elementary schools, to make it more accommodating for them. Because we're not asking for multiple, we're only asking for one, and we're just asking that they're accessible in easier manner. Because at the end of the day, we all have to use the bathroom, and we shouldn't have to ask to use it, because teachers don't have to ask, other students don't have to ask, but we have to ask because we can't deal with the looks or the possible harassment or all that stuff, because it's just too much. And it takes too much out of us to the point where school becomes nearly impossible to even concentrate or do anything in general. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I'd like to ask Ms. Tracy Adams to come up.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, and Dr. Cora. My name is Tracy Adams, and I'm a second grade teacher at Graysdale Elementary School. Last Friday, February 7th, our union representatives held a meeting after school to inform us of the plan to reconfigure the elementary schools and gave us information regarding a proposed plan for the physical recovery of our district. I also watched the replay of the board meeting regarding these matters and have read the first interim report for 2019-2020. With a combination of what I've heard from our union reps and what I've seen on the board meeting playback and a physical copy of the slideshow that was presented at the board meeting, I have to say that I have some questions. So number one, is there a spreadsheet that shows the proposed savings brought on by the closing of schools, reducing admin, and estimated savings due to attrition versus the cost of adding portables and making other improvements to schools that are absorbing the students from the closed schools? If there is, and this information is made available and looks cost effective, I think more people would be able to see the benefit of this plan that, from my perspective, has come on rather quickly. And if there's not a spreadsheet that shows savings of closed schools versus cost of improvements to existing schools, then it seems a vote for this plan is one that is uninformed and perhaps should be delayed until more information is made available. Question number two, I understand that input regarding reductions was taken from principals and other district admin, but why not from parents and teachers? I could understand gathering initial input for such a small group, but input from parents and teachers is valuable as well. Who knows the needs of students more than they do? So with the speed at which this proposed plan is being pushed, it seems like parents and teachers are not going to be asked for their input at all. My third question is, if elementary schools are going to be closed, what are the criteria? So in closing, I'd like to say that I love Grace Middle School. I love the people with whom I work. We've worked so hard to create a kind and loving community in our school where kids feel safe and loved so they can learn. We've worked so hard to bring our scores up and get into the green on the dashboard. I've only been in the district for 6 years, so I'm sure you feel my concern when I ask all of you, please wait until all projections and estimates have been made before voting on this drastic decision to close and combine schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Adams. I'd like to call Julie Gervin to the podium. Good evening, board, superintendent, assistant superintendents, and everybody else here tonight. I am also here to speak on the budget recovery plan. I have personally reached out to all of our elected board members to let them know my concerns and the desire that we keep these cuts as far away from the children as possible. So I was more than disappointed when the first two cuts I heard are cuts that will negatively impact the students at Quincy Elementary School. That's the cut of our assistant principal, Emma Posadas, and our PE teacher, Miguel Lopez. Last year and the last 3 years, those positions were important enough to be included in the LCAP, but no, they no longer are. I know that some research was done to decide whether or not a school qualifies for the threshold of an assistant principal. And depending on what research you believe, Glen City may or may not reach that threshold. But let's look to the future. Glen City is supposed to be the home of our inaugural DLI program next year, a flagship program that everyone wants to succeed. If you've read the research about that program, and as part of that committee, I have read the research, it requires more support, not less. And you are giving a layer of support for the students, the families, and the staff as they venture into this unknown new territory for them. Also, with closing of schools and combining, the names of the schools for the TK8 schools haven't been stated, but because of facility size in the DLI, I would assume Glen City might be one of those schools. Again, you need a vice principal. You need a PE teacher. Isn't it better to have that person in place during the planning and transition than to throw somebody in at the last minute? Speaking for our PE teacher, Mr. Lopez, not only has he increased the health and fitness of our students, but their self-esteem and their character as well.
his numbers don't lie. Over 75% of our students pass the physical fitness tests. You might know. Right? So you might know 25 years I've been married to a CPA, so I understand balanced budgets, I understand cost cutting. I also hold a degree in business management and administration, so I understand cost benefit analysis. And I think these cuts are short-sighted. I think that the short-term benefit that you're going to gain, the long-term costs on our students, it's not worth it. So questions that I'm getting from parents and other staff members that I don't have the answer for, and I'm assuming you do. Number one, how did we get into this deep, dark hole that's being sprung on everyone so suddenly? And number two, what cuts are being made next door at 121 South Steckel, and what accountability is being handed out next door? Thank you, Ms. Bergman. And now I'd like to call up Talitha Bustamante. Is it Bustamante?
I am here on behalf of Lansing Elementary. I am concerned about how you figure we do not need a vice principal, like we are two schools in one. You say you don't want to impact the students, but you are directly impacting the students. As for me, Mr. Lopez, I thought by state we are required to have a certified PE teacher by law, or not by law. Sorry. I would really not like a lawsuit, as I have. You recall there was a county lawsuit because we didn't have enough minutes. That's why we have PE teachers now. I can tell you how much improvement I have seen in my child's health because of Mr. Lopez. We need music, arts, science, and to lose these would be a huge disservice to all of our children and their future. As a parent, my children have been enrolled at Glen City since 2016. I am a proud parent of this school, and while I have seen changes for the better, a small one being as when they started, there was a small L sign, and now there is a huge, beautiful mural. You see what you can see across the street. Amazing teachers who stay hours after school and devote 100% of their time to our children. The district office has so many unnecessary doses we don't need. Then do we quit? Fine with them and the assistant to the assistants. What I'm saying is you guys have so many assistants to your assistants to your assistants to your secretary. And is it necessary to get training for people who are hired to do the job they were hired for? Our health assistants should be at the school while children are, and we have children with medical issues that require medicine, and others who come in with bumps, bruises, bleeds, and fevers, etc. Can you name one student from each school? How long do you spend at each summit? I ask you to spend a day so you can see how your cuts directly impact these children, their futures, and their education. Oh, yeah, no one.
Thank you, Mrs. Bustamante, and your assistant. I'd like to call up Chris Inez Solis.
Good evening, board. Good evening, Dr. Fuller. Good evening, everyone in the audience. My name is Chris Inez Solis, and I am the current PTA president for Santa Paula High School. The goal of the PTSA for this school year was to go back to basics and how we could help our students, not just through education, but through what they face on a daily basis. 3 things came to mind: bullying, vaping, and suicide. The PTSA focused on these areas and provided informative workshops, which were provided by professionals within those fields and would allow parents, teachers, and students to speak freely in an open forum setting on the related topics. We did not have big turnouts for our workshops, but for those who did attend, we're very grateful and happy to learn that SPHS PTSA was doing something positive to help educate topics most do not like to speak about. SPHS PTSA was hoping board members would be present when these workshops took place so you could hear firsthand from parents, teachers, but most importantly, students, how they felt in relation to the topics of suicide and vaping. But most importantly, our recent topic of bullying, which took place last week. Students from the middle school, a recent graduate of Santa Paula High School, and a parent expressed how they have had to deal with bullying and how it is an ongoing problem. As we plan ahead for the 2021 school year, our hope is that board members attend SPHS PTSA meetings, which are held the first Tuesday of the month in room 520 of the Science Technology Building at 6 p.m. so that you can see firsthand what PTSA strives to help our students at a high school level, which serves the community of Santa Paula. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Solis. Juan Ojeda. Oh, I'm sorry.
Good evening to all members of the board and to all the audience here present. My name is Juan Ojeda, and I'm here advocating for the education of my community children. All schools need to be open. Those students that are in our schools bring the money to keep the doors open, and we need the doors open. I'm here all the board meetings, as you know, for the last 3 years. I'm part of school site council in Grace Elementary School, and I want to support my school. I'm part of Isabel New York School Committee, and I'm part of ELCA. So what they have been saying, that's true. You guys are not making good decisions. It's time that you hire someone to do a job that we don't need it in our schools. You are wasting money. You were elected by them to represent our students, not to provide jobs that we don't need. You are serving the district, you are serving the students, you are not serving community organizations. You are here representing the students, the parents. The budget is like that because you guys make it like that, not because the students make it like that. I want to thank these teachers, principals who have made the difference, that work so hard every day. The nutrition person that is here, I forgot his name. Gonzalo, you have been making difference in the schools each time you go to classrooms and teach the children what kind of food they have been eating, you made a difference. And you have been making difference. I will need more time because they are laughing. You have been making a difference as well as all these teachers that work hard every day, every moment to make a difference in our children. You guys need to do something, but not close the schools. That's not okay. They have been telling you the truth, and I support their ideas, their comments, because that's true. It's like I was asking that classes that are, you know what I'm talking about.
Are you breathing?
Thank you, Mr. Ojeda. And now I'd like to ask Barbara Ramirez to come up. Good evening, board. I'm a third generation South Paul. I'm and I am the class, represent the class of 1977. I walk the halls. I am a product of San Paul School District. I'm here, I have two hats that I wear. I wear one as a resident, as my girlfriend would say, I'm a lifer here. And I am also been working 31 years here in the San Paulo Elementary School. When I heard we were closing schools, this is an LA movement. I came 8th. When I was growing up, I went to school to McKennet, which was a K where when they lowered the Dell was just filled. So they wanted to fill the class size. So we went, half of us went to the Dell. Then for 4th, 5th, and 6th, we went to our rest. We had 7th and 8th at Isabel, and then we all went to class, San Bell High. Research has shown class size, small class size, makes a big difference. Our schools are a part of our community. I tell my TKs, now I'm putting my teacher hat. Okay? I don't want the schools to look like a training park. We have beautiful schools here. Now I'm putting my hat on as a TK teacher. I tell my students, because one day I was out in the playground, and I said, well, why did you come to school today? And I don't know. My mom just sent me here. Oh my gosh. And I said, no, sweetheart, she said you'd come to school so you can get an education, so you can get a good job, and when she gets old, you can take care of her. And they were like, oh. So every morning when I start school, I say, you're my parents send you to school to learn their lessons, so you go to college, to get a good job, and like what I'm doing right now, taking care of your parents. Our schools are a part of our community. I know you did not inherit this budget because I'm a registered voter. What I'm trying to say is you need to look and ask us teachers, what do you need to make our schools successful? What do you feel you need as a parent to help educate your child? This is your job. I was once told by a parent, I send my child to school because I'm entrusted in you to educate my child. We voted for you. We entrusted you with our students, our babies. So thank you very much. I hope you make the best decisions for our students. And I also like to say, you're always welcome to come to TK and visit my class. One administrator told me, I won't see you until February when they become human. Thank you, Mr. Mann. All right, we're going to move on to information items. 8A, dual language immersion update. Staff will present an update to the Board of Trustees on dual language immersion and a first reading of revisions to Board Policy 6142.2 World Language Instruction. Dr. Cora?
Thank you, President Thompson. I'm going to turn this item over to our Assistant Superintendent of Education Services, Ms. Christine Sheffield.
Thank you. Good evening. I'd like to give a brief update on the progress of dual language immersion implementation. Yesterday, February 11th, we held our first parent information night, and we'll be holding a second one on February 25th from 8:30 to 9:30, and again from 6 to 7. I'd like to thank Board President Pamela Thompson and Trustee Michelle Colbeck for attending the meeting, as well as Mrs. Joey Bergman and Alfredo Varela, members of the ELI leadership team, for their attendance as well. We sent home parent interest surveys, and to date, we've received approximately 120 back. Of those 120, 21 are from parents of incoming transitional kindergarten students who have indicated that they are interested in enrolling their incoming TK into a DLI program. So we'll continue to gather those interest surveys, and attached onto tonight's board agenda is Board Policy 6142.2 for the board's review, which outlines the program goals, mission, and vision, as well as recommended priorities for enrollment.
Thank you very much. And now we'll move on to information item 8B, the first reading of the CSBA board policy updates. The California School Board Association has released the October 2019 and December 2019 policy updates, which reflect new laws for consideration. This is being with the Board of Trustees as a first reading. Dr. Cora?
Thank you, President Thompson. As the board is aware, we received a 7-page summary of the board policies and administrative regulations, along with the actual pages that have revisions of the CSBA. As you know, CSBA does the work. They've got the attorneys up there to make sure that all board policies are legal. So at this time, we're just looking to see if there's any questions during the first reading of the policies that we review, staff can answer. If not, we'll come back next month with the second reading. Thank you.
All right, then we're going to move on to action items. 9A is adoption of the budget recovery plan. The district's plan to reduce expenditures and increase revenues in order to balance the district budget and avoid future fiscal distress. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees review and consider adoption of the budget recovery plan as presented. I'm going to ask Ms. Annette Shea to come up and speak.
Good evening, Dr. Cora, Ms. Sheffield, members of the board. I would like to urge you to take some time to consider the long-term effects of school closures and how it affects an entire community. The closure of schools is a very sensitive concern, and we need to address several issues as a community before making such decisions. We need to take a good look at research about school closures and consider other options to generate much needed revenue for making a final decision to close 2 of our schools. The Center for Research and Education Outcomes states, sometimes schools close because they have low enrollment. Other times, closures are due to underperformance. Despite the reasons, the research suggests students typically suffer when schools are closed. Districts commonly explore closures when they are in a fiscal crisis, which is the case in many districts in this state. It makes sense on the surface. However, it contradicts research. A national study conducted by the Pew Charitable Trust found that money saved as a result of school closures was, at least in short run, relatively small. When districts close schools, they may actually incur unexpected additional costs. A study conducted by Matthew F. Larson at the Education Alliance for New Orleans indicates that most students from closed schools experience negative shock, resulting in lower attendance, lower GPAs, and lower chances of graduating. The Center for Research on Education Outcomes at Stanford University reports that, on average, transferred students experience a loss of achievement and gains. A study from the University of Chicago examined the effects of school closures on students 4 years after their schools were closed. They found that students from closed schools experienced a long-term negative impact on their math test scores, and that the gap in math scores remained for 4 years post-closing. Students also experienced decreases in reading scores and in absenteeism. Recent research suggests that non-structural mobility, when students change schools other than after completing the highest grade taught in their school, has an immediate negative impact on the outcomes of these mobile students. I found that the low enrollment underutilization arguments for school closures are not fully backed by research. Let's make an informed decision that would be best for all of our students. Let's take into account what is going to affect our community. Thank you.
Say, I'd like to ask Nora Bennett to come forward.
Opportunity to speak today. Everyone in residence. First thing I want to say is I'm really disappointed that I'm not at Jones Field right now supporting our soccer team. I'm happy to be here. They should all be at Jones Field watching and supporting me. The second thing I like to ask publicly is I want the organizational chart of the school district since the unification till now. Hey, if you can give me it a little bit before that, I'll take that too. I want to see where the bulge went. Where did it go? Where did it grow? Because unfortunately, I didn't keep track. Now I know better. Okay, let's go for what's on here. This is a public school, but lately the public school has been removed and a paid consultant has moved in. The cuts are drastic, life-changing for the students and the staff, with little to no input from the public. The 6 weeks and 3 boardings you are providing us is unbelievably short to give you what is needed to make these changes. Please do not let a consulting group that know nothing about our students or our community have the biggest say in the cuts that you want to put into place. All stakeholders should have been brought into discuss solutions. The high school site council has great students serving as representatives. They make insightful suggestions, they think outside the box, and they care about the outcome. Students are some of the stakeholders that should have been consulted. Parents, teachers, and support staff are the others.
These cuts are a knee-jerk reaction to a complicated situation that cannot be solved by a consultant and some software program. By doing that, you have removed humanity from the process. When a student, teacher, or parent walks into the library, I listen to what they have to say. We work together to find a solution. This is my job. It follows me home every day. My brain is constantly working on the solutions, providing appealing books to students, getting adequate access to useful technology. Because handing a student a Chromebook and a user ID to a website is not how they are going to learn. Nor will keep them safe. It's teachers, support staff at our sites who will do this with love and our long-term commitment to our students and community. I feel disrespected for the time and hard work I have spent with these students, and my job is being marginalized. One librarian cannot serve 1,600 students, 72 teachers, and provide help for at least 64 courses at the high school. My speech changed from when I started writing it after the last time I went to the meeting here on the 29th. Many of you know, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I was called in at 9 a.m. on Tuesday morning with no warning. I'm put in a room with 9 other people and said that my job is going to be eliminated because I work too far away from the students.
I'd like to call up Kristen Young.
I'm Kristen Young. I've been a teacher in South Bend for 23 years, and I'm here to express my concerns about how our district is handling the financial crisis. I was shocked at hearing about the budget recovery plan just last Wednesday, and even more shocked to hear that there would be a vote on the plan this Wednesday. It's such a huge and lasting impact on our community, and without getting input from our community and our staff. Many of our staff has been through a financial crisis before and provide quite a bit of input. Definitely, cuts need to be made. All I ask is that we as a community and staff are given a voice and some communication in this process. A time of crisis provides an opportunity for us to pull together. If we rush to a vote on this budget plan without considering the community and staff input, we'll be missing that opportunity. I strongly believe that this process needs to be slowed down to make the most informed decision on what's best for meeting the needs of our school district and students. There are so many questions and possibilities that still need to be discussed before making definite decisions. I ask that you postpone this vote on the budget plan.
Thank you. And now I'd like to call Ilza Sanchez.
Good evening, everybody present, including everybody in our audience. I'm back once again, and I'm probably not going to go away, at least not anytime soon. My name is Ilza Sanchez, and I am the chapter president for our classified employees. I would like you to take a few seconds to look at all the people in this audience. We have parents, we have students, we have community members, we have SPFT wearing the red shirts, we have CSEA wearing blue. These are all the stakeholders in our district. These are also the groups that were not considered when it came to making budget decisions. I am here, we are all here, united time in many years with the same question. How the heck did we get to this point? I would like to share with you an article in the Santa Barbara Independent newspaper that came out on January 29th, which I believe you have in front of you, regarding Superintendent Matsuka's vision for his district when it comes to saving money in his budget. In my opinion, a commendable superintendent who truly cares about his staff. If you refer to the second paragraph, first sentence, and I also highlighted it for you, it states, Superintendent Kerry Matsuka announced Tuesday, that was a quote, sorry, more than $3.8 million in savings has already been carved out of the budget, end quote. Fourth paragraph states, quote, he emphasized no staff or programs will be cut as part of the deficit reduction. The following paragraph after that states, quote, Matsuka touched on the easier to find savings, like the $250,000 saved by reducing staff travel and conference funds to mandatory trips only. He said he found another $380,000 in savings from the staff laptop program by requiring staff to use laptops several years longer. If you notice on the agenda, there is still travel being authorized for staff. Why do we have to wait until next year? We should be working on that now. Did you know surrounding districts are not facing the huge deficits that our district is facing? At a meeting with the chapter presidents last week, I was informed our district is facing the biggest budget deficit in the county. I also discovered Wainimi School District formed a committee which consisted of classified staff, certificated staff, board member, administrator, community members, and parents to assist the district with determining where the cuts should be. Together, this committee is tasked with determining where the district can save money. Yes, all stakeholders in that district are being considered and making a decision as a team. Yes, as a team. Something our district never considered from the beginning of this process. You might wonder why there is a perception of no confidence towards the superintendent and the board. It's because you never gave us the opportunity to sit down and talk with you as a team and possibly offer different solutions to solve our budget crisis. Did you not include us because you are having a hard time getting rid of these highly paid consultants who know nothing about any of our schools or our districts? We want them to stick around so you, Dr. Cora, can put the blame on them and say it was the consultant
Ms. Sanchez,
who made these
your time
decisions.
is up. Thank you.
You know, people don't understand. Just the enrollment goes down. You don't get money.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Cora, and Madam President. I'd like to give a lot of time to our unit president, Nika.
Sorry, I hope you remember the first part. Anyways, to continue, Dr. Cora, you are supposed to be our superintendent. It is your job to have answers for employees when they have questions about why our district is choosing to start with employee reductions. However, you never have answers and are always relying on those working beside you to answer questions for you. Not only did you, as a district superintendent, fail miserably considering all stakeholders involved before presenting what you and the consultants determined to be the necessary savings to our budget, but you have also failed to work with employees in your own office. Have you not noticed how bad morale is at the district office? It appears to be a very hostile work environment, and that is based on me visiting maybe a couple of times a month. What is wrong with this picture when employees at the district office are crying because of how miserable they are? This is not okay or acceptable. More importantly, this is not how we are used to doing business around here. I would like to ask how many furlough days classified staff would have to take in order to save employees from losing their job at least for the next school year. And please don't feel compelled to hire another outside consultant to perform this task, as are very capable of handling this. I would like to end by saying we should be looking at other options before reducing employees. What if we are willing to give up raises for the next couple of years to save jobs? What if affected 12-month employees remain 10 months temporarily? I guess that wouldn't be. What if we took a pay cut straight across to save people's jobs? I guess that wouldn't be feasible since that would also affect your $200,000 a year salary. What a true act of kindness that would be to know that our superintendent was willing to take a pay cut to save employees' jobs. Probably not going to happen, right? There is information out there indicating the district safety committee may be able to pay for a part of people's salary in order to save their jobs. If that's the case, then we are asking for assistance for our employees as well. We keep hearing that during the next phase of this plan, both certificated and classified unions, all stakeholders will be considered. Well, guess what? Next phase is already too late. Our employees believe that Dr. Cora has failed them terribly. They no longer trust or believe in you or your decisions, since the question, how did we get to this point, cannot be answered. On behalf of CSCA Chapter 891, I am urging that the board vote no on this proposed budget recovery plan, simply because it is not a plan. It is a PowerPoint presentation created by a highly paid consultant that knows nothing about our district. It is not a plan. I'd like to thank everybody who came out today.
Excuse me. I'd like to ask Diane Wilkinson to come up.
I wrote a much more measured approach, much like I wish the board would do. So good evening, members of the board, Dr. Cora, cabinet. My name is Diane Wilkinson, and I am from the California School Employees Association. I have the distinct honor of representing the nearly 300 members of the Santa Paula Chapter 891. I am proud every single day to carry out the mission of CSTA to improve the lives of our members, students, and communities. And it is this mission that compels me to speak to you tonight. This board is considering adopting a spending plan that defines not only CSTA's mission, but your own mission, the mission of this very board. Your plan to radically reshape this community with these proposed cuts and capital consolidation is quite frankly an overreaction. Additionally, you have gone about this in a way that is antithetical to the very few first words of your own mission statement. Santa Paula Unified School District, in collaboration with educators, parents, and the community, will prepare What you've done with your cuts by consultant plan is to shut out all the stakeholders, and as you can see, they are not happy about it. Setting aside that for a moment, I want to address your analysis of the fiscal health of this district. According to your own consultant's presentation, of the 15 indicators of financial stress, this district is only at risk of declining enrollment and related to that, a declining fund balance. If you did nothing for the next 3 years, you would still have an 8% reserve. That's 8%, 3 times the amount the state requires you to have, and by any rational measure, a healthy bottom line. The structure of the plan would ultimately exacerbate the issue you were trying to correct, declining enrollment. It's a race to the bottom. Again, I'd like to bring you back to those first words in your mission statement, in collaboration. Respectfully, I ask this board and this administration to come together with parents, educators, and this classified community to reconsider and take the last radical approach. You have the time to do that. There are so many options for you to consider to achieve this goal. You do a disservice to this community by assuming that they aren't open to negotiating through shared sacrifice to preserve the integrity of what makes Santa Paula Unified so great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Maria Zacharias.
Wow. Getting a secretary in there.
Good evening, everyone. My heart is pounding. I'm standing here in front of you tonight, asking that you please open your eyes and question everything that the administration is proposing and find other solutions than to terminate people. I have a 4-year-old daughter, who I need to provide for, who goes to preschool, participates in gymnastics and swimming. She is very bright and loves school. In June, when I am out of a job, how do I tell Anaí that she can no longer go to preschool, attend gymnastics and swimming because her mom doesn't have a job? Because you decided that what I do is not important. I work at the district office and provide assistance on a daily basis to every department at the district and oftentimes provide support to the schools. I matter and I am important too. I sent you a letter this morning about the administration, their mismanagement of funds, the misuse of our tax dollars, and asking that you please look at every option available before laying people off. And the response that I received from one of you felt like a slap on the face. Their response was heartless to my cry for help. I truly feel disappointed and angry in the response that I received. You are not listening to anyone. I hope that the letter of recommendation that you offered to write me will feed my daughter when she is hungry, will put a roof over her head, pay her preschool tuition at the beginning of the month, and be enough to allow her to continue with her swimming and gymnastics. We are in this situation because of the mismanagement of money, the lack of leadership, the incompetence of some administrators to do their job, and the board. Stop approving unnecessary expenses and do your job. Hold the superintendent and executive cabinet accountable for all this. They are the ones who continue to mismanage our money. Other districts such as Santa Barbara and Riverside balance their budgets without any layoffs. Why aren't we exploring other options? Why aren't the unions, parents, staff helping to come up with solutions? Why consult with a third party who knows nothing about our district? Cuts need to start from the top with administration, not from the bottom. We're not only affecting our lives, but the well-being of our families. Our jobs matter. We matter.
Thank you. Ray Luna.
Thank you.
Kick the mic up.
Anyway, most of the people that gave testimony, they took the speech away. They did a really good job. But anyway, I'm really surprised that you have not created a committee of staff, teachers, and parents. I'm surprised to hear that. That's something that very anytime you have a school shooting that exceed revenues, here, it's all about, you know, if you have a reserve, how much reserve in general fund do you have? What percent? Do your parents know that? I don't know. I don't know if you share that. And one of the other speakers, they said it always starts with the bottom, it goes up. But yet, in every organization, no matter which organization you're in, whether school district, state, county, state, there's always what's up top, you get the nice kitchen retirements. And what's at the bottom, let go. Why not recommend board members 20% salary. Election salary. Years ago in my job, we took a 5% cut pay. That's what we're making $15,000 a year. But anyway, just a small amount would probably save money. Also, retention. Do you have anybody in charge of retaining kids, keeping kids here? You're not going to answer. So if you don't, you need to get somebody to do that, or assign somebody to do that. This is important because the enrollment in all the schools just happening in our state. It's happening all over the place. The enrollment is really good. The youngins, all the schools. And I yield my 30 seconds to anybody else that
Thank you, Mr. Luna. Gonzalo Paz.
Good evening, board, cabinet, Dr. Cora. And there's supposed to be something up on the screen, but it is not up there. But they're handing you the actual, there it is. I wanted everyone to see this. I too was called like Nora mentioned on Tuesday. It surprised me completely. I was also told the same thing they told her. It kind of hurts. I want you to see this chart right here. This chart is showing the fifth graders outside the healthy fitness zone. I pulled this chart up when I started 5 years ago. Look at Santa Paula. Do we not need a nutrition specialist? Do we not need a PE teacher? I think we do. We are the second worst. PE teachers are doing a great job. The health specialists at schools are doing a great job. So looking at this chart tells you a lot. This is why it's important. This is why it's important, where our positions are important. As your nutrition specialist, I am currently managing over 75 kids with allergies, a program that was not in place when I first came in, some of whom are diabetic now. I am working closely with all health specialists at every site, nurses, our district nurse. I'm constantly providing carbohydrate reports, updating the reports or all the paperwork for all the school sites with pictures of all students that have allergies so that we won't miss any. I am constantly contacting the doctor's office to get the proper, regarding the students asking the recommendations and substitutions for certain foods. We also are asking the doctors for proper documentation to be able to accommodate these kids. I'm constantly providing nutrition classes to the students at our district, as well as I provide classes in Spanish and English to parents. We are working on a lot of programs. I know that maybe CNS, Child Nutrition Services, always pushed to the back, but we are doing a lot. I have 4 pages full of things that we're doing, my job duties, but I only have 3 minutes, so I think I have a lot less now. So fresh fruit and vegetable program that we worked so hard, we applied for this. So this allows students to have a fresh fruit or vegetable during session, and only 2 schools in the whole county got it. We're one of them. We provide so many services. We do a lot of challenges for the staff that you hired me to do, whether you participated or not. I've worked with pediatricians. They came in, they contact me to be part of my presentations because one of their patients is my student. So we do a lot that a lot of you don't know. We also provide. I also coordinate a lot of health fairs, and we'll have another health fair at Isabel on February 22nd at Isabel. Our staff is like are classified and certificated. Can I have a little more time? I'm sorry. Work together as one. We are like a car. You need one part in order for the other part to work. You just open up the hood. You're about to pull up a couple of spark plugs and hoses. Okay? Eventually, the car is not going to function. It's not going to work. You have now compromised the health, safety, and possibly the future of your occupants in the car, meaning our students. I don't care. / take away my benefits. send me down from 8 hours to 5.5 hours, but don't take me away from these kids. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mary Ann Romero.
Good evening, Madam President and board members. I'm Mary Ann Romero. Born, raised Santa Paula, graduated here. Sorry, water breath, class of 79. 77. And I'm also a 30-year veteran teacher at the high school. And budget cuts, yeah, I get it. We need to stay solvent, but our students should not have to suffer because of bad district decisions. The cuts need to be made in areas that least affect students. However, eliminating the librarian tech position really is the epitome of direct affecting students. How anybody can stand there and tell her, like, you don't have student contact is somebody who's obviously never been to our library. Otherwise, you could never even say that. It's just, it just kind of galls me. It's like, wow. And so, it does not surprise me. Somebody said they were surprised that they didn't do a coalition. I'm not surprised. Because with my things and things that I've seen that have happened, the district thinks we work for them, that their job, we have to support them. And they're forgetting that they're supposed to be supporting teachers, getting our students educated, not us doing things for them and making our life harder, making paperwork harder, making our whole process crazy. But that's a side note. So in relation to our library tech, I'm not going to read it to you because I'm not going to insult your intelligence. You know, the equality of access, student-driven, the teacher losses of losing a tech, the school losses. Because you've never been in our library, you have no idea how important these positions are to teachers and to our students. And losing them, it's like saying, yeah, your education's important because we're going to let them off, because we need more money. Because obviously we need 3 people at our district, which used to only have 1, and we need to pay their $200,000 salaries. So forget the librarian. So yeah, I'd like to raise the same question that other people have raised. What are the sacrifices the district's doing? Are they people at the administrative levels being cut down, or is it only from the bottom up? Which is really sad. District jobs have less impact on student learning than library techs and teachers and custodial staffs and support staff. Don't forget you guys. Isn't student learning our ultimate goal? Isn't that what we're here for? District administrators oodles and hundreds of thousands of dollars and leaving everybody else does not make sense. Time's up. So I hope you guys really think closely about what non-community members are asking you to do to our community, because they obviously don't even understand our culture and our community.
Thank you. And Juan Ojeda.
Buenas tardes a los miembros del board y toda la audiencia aquí presente. Mi nombre es Juan Ojeda, soy parte de la Escuela Cristión y la Escuela Isabel, pero estoy aquí en representación de todos los estudiantes en todos los comités que pertenezco, que es ILA, TILAC, Schools and Council, ELCA. Nunca se ha dado la oportunidad de pedirnos una sugerencia, qué podemos hacer, qué pensamos nosotros para o qué es alguien que nosotros pensamos que deberíamos de decir, no ocupamos a esa persona. Es triste. I have to do it in Spanish. Es muy triste porque nuestra comunidad.
Let your translator translate for you, okay? Because it's here for everybody. Thank you.
My name is Juana Ojeda, and I'd like to talk about the fact that the parents and the teachers are not asked to give their input into the decision that is made, and it is affecting all of us.
I'm part of TILA, the School Site Council, ELCA, and you guys have never given us a chance to give our input as parents and leaders in the community, in the district. Creo que es muy importante que ustedes vengan a un salón de clases, vean las necesidades de los niños que tienen, tanto de una persona que les enseñe de nutrición, una persona que les enseñe a mejorar su inglés, una persona que esté ahí para que les ayude a encontrar el libro que ocupan. No están pensando en las necesidades de los niños, están pensando en las necesidades de ustedes.
You're not thinking of the student needs, you're thinking of your own necessities. I'd like to invite you to come to the classroom and see how a teacher is helping a student read a book or find a book, how someone is helping to teach about nutrition, how someone is helping the student to work and do their best.
Me gustaría que ustedes se dieran cuenta de cuántos padres hay voluntarios en cada escuela. Hablo por la escuela Graceville, que es donde más estoy familiarizado. Los padres de PTO que están haciendo un gran trabajo para hacer ventas de playeras, de dulces, para ayudar a las necesidades de la escuela.
I'd like you to come and see how parents are volunteering in the classrooms, how they're doing fundraisers with t-shirts and other things to help the school. I can only talk about Graceville because that is where I help the most, but many of the parent-teacher organizations are helping, and we are volunteering in the classroom.
Nosotros no nos pagan por estar esas horas ahí, por ir a una junta, por ir a otra junta, por estar ahí parados a veces en el sol, planeando las ventas. Es un sacrificio que nosotros hacemos. Dejamos de hacer cosas en nuestra casa para ir como padres voluntarios a juntas, a ventas de cosas, y ustedes no lo están tomando en cuenta, ¿no?
We don't get paid to volunteer. You're not there to see us stand up in the sun, putting in hours for a fundraiser. You're not there to see the time that we put into the meetings. We don't get paid for this. We do this because, and you don't see that.
Creo que deberían de pensar en las necesidades de nuestros hijos, de nuestros estudiantes, de nuestra comunidad, y dejar de preocuparse por el dinero.
We believe that you should look at and worry about the necessities of our children, of parents, of the community, and not worry so much about the funds.
Board members, we have supported you when you have asked for help, but we were not expecting this. I guess if we have known that you guys will go to this court not to close the schools, we won't be electing you. Thank you.
Thank you all, and now we will move on to action item 9A, adoption of budget recovery plan. The district's plan to reduce expenditures and increase revenues in order to balance the district's budget and avoid future fiscal distress. It is recommended the Board of Trustees review and consider adoption of the budget recovery plan as presented. Dr. Cora?
Thank you, President Thompson, and to the board. I'd like to say thank you to everyone as well. In order to reach a balanced budget in 2 years, which we've been directed to do, staff has been tasked with researching how to identify $2.8 million in budget reductions. So discussions began in October, November of this school year. Discussions with the Board of Trustees were also held in the fall. In the district news update, printed and distributed in October 2019, all stakeholders were informed of the need to address our declining enrollment deficit spending. And every effort was made to limit the number of FTEs, full-time equivalents, due to 2.8 million reductions. And to the degree possible, all employees and positions that were being considered for abolishment have been notified. Positions being recommended for abolishment include management confidential in the district office, a total of 6, classified employees, 9, and to mitigate the impact of the 9 FTEs reduced, the district has identified 4.7 FTEs that will be added in various areas. And certificated 6.5 employees. However, only 2.5 FTEs employees will actually be reduced. Input was received, as was mentioned, for certificate and classified management groups and individually. And last year, in anticipation of staffing reductions, the district eliminated 1 administrative coordinator and an HR specialist. The plan itself, before I get to it, as the board knows, we're facing significant projected deficit spending with nothing done. And the question has been asked, how did we get to this point? So the effects of rising employer contributions to CalPERS and CalSTRS, increasing wages, increasing cost of health and benefits, full funding of LCFF, the local control funding formula, as of 2019-20, and smaller averaging out LCFF colas. The decreasing revenues due to declining enrollment have all negatively impacted the student self-district budget. So with that being said, the plan is requesting 5 different areas, and those areas include 1, staffing reduction of 2.8 million, like I mentioned before, 6, management confidential, 9 classified, 6.5 certificate. The second part of the plan is to come to an agreement with Lewis and Mayor of not building a new school at Parkinson and Mayor, and instead focus on enhancing our existing schools. The third point of the recovery plan is to reconfigure schools, which includes converting 2 TK5 schools to 2 TK8 schools, and merging 2 elementary schools yet to be determined into 2 existing elementary schools, which will provide parents a choice to enroll their children either in these government schools or TK8 schools. The fourth item is to continue negotiation cost-saving measures with both bargaining units. And the fifth one is to implement a reduction to both site department discretionary allocations, and also to review and analyze all district expenditures seeking increased savings. I would like to say something moving forward, whatever direction the board gives, working with stakeholders will occur moving forward. So at this time, I'd like to open to the board for questions, comments that myself or staff may
Does anybody have any comments? I would just like to say that it's not too late, because we have not made any decisions about the facilities, the school mergers, and I would like to have a discussion about possibly delaying that decision of 3A and 3B until we have a chance to get some stakeholder
With unification and the new funding formula for the LCFF, we were given a golden opportunity to do great things for Santa Paula students. We have spent a lot of money and done some phenomenal things, yet here we are tonight. I don't mean to say I told you so, but I have always asked for a plan when we were spending money. I wanted to know what programs will benefit, how many students benefit, and does it improve overall academic achievement, and is safety a priority? Not to mention how much it will cost going forward. I was accused of hating animals even though I grew up on an Iowa farm when I asked how much and what the plan for the farm was. To date, it has cost the district approximately $4.1 million, and recently we were asked to pay an additional $25,000 for installation of more animal pens. I was accused of not liking babies, even though I raised 9 children, have 14 grandchildren, and am the executive director of a pregnancy clinic that served hundreds of girls each month, when I asked about the funding of $200,000 a year for daycare. I was accused of not caring when I questioned how we were to afford the electricity of approximately $1 million when air conditioning was added. These 3 items alone have cost the district nearly $5.5 million. Please understand, I am not against any of these, but we have not had sound financial planning nor any planning as we move forward. That brings us to the budget recovery plan tonight. I have been on the board for 22 years, and a PowerPoint is not a plan. Spreadsheets with real numbers, real programs, and projections 3 to 5 years out is a plan. We knew this day was coming since unification and LCF was implemented, yet we have waited until now to do anything about it. We had time to engage teachers, staff, freeze hiring, cancel conferences, and all the other suggestions we have heard tonight to soften the blow. But we have not done so. I have been through several budget cuts and even qualified budgets. However, we worked as a team to tighten our belts, yet bring quality education and safety to the student. This recovery plan tonight, I welcome input from teachers, staff, parents, and the community who deserve a quality education and a safe environment. Therefore, I am calling for a special budget committee to be formed with key players along with 2 board members to review the budget, have 3 to 5 years out to see what the actual costs are and how much we would save. I'd like to have recommendations for priorities to set and help formulate a real plan. Our students, employees, and taxpayers deserve no less.
Well, this is the part we all dread. So, I would like to make a motion not to adopt the budget recovery plan. I have a very long list of reasons, so I'm going to read it out just like Mrs. Colbert read her statement. I'm not in favor of approving the budget recovery plan, and I will be voting no. I feel that this board has been provided a small amount of information that looked good on paper without deeply having enough information to accurately come to a conclusion. And if we don't have the information, how about the stakeholders of our district? It is in our mission statement as it was stated today. There has to be transparency among this board and among this district. First and foremost, take a look at what is in the budget recovery plan. The merging of 2 schools without any specific details, without any plan. How is this good for students? Mr. Cora, you sold us on your saying that you go by saying is it good for the kids? So how is this good for the situation, or how is this good for the students when we have not corresponded with any of the teachers, staff, or any of the community stakeholders? I believe that a K-8 model could be beneficial if presented the right way. However, merging schools with no plan is not good for kids. There's been no community input from parents, no forums from stakeholders, no plan to the employees, and most of all, no plan for programs that are offered at the middle school level affecting this change, such as band, AVID, robotics, or even PE programs. And speaking of our employees, how about the employees that are being affected by this? These employees have invested their time in our district. Heck, unlike most of our management here, these employees either bought a home or rent here in town. We are the people that send their kids to schools here. They are the parent volunteers. They are the community coaches and sports programs. They are the fundraiser for their students' class field trips, etc. How can we abruptly turn our back on them without input and looking at all the options for saving money? And I emphasize the word all options. We are in this position talking about people's jobs not only because of low enrollment, but because the board, including previous boards since unification, have approved mismanagement of funds. Tell me I'm wrong, I mean, please do. We all have different opinions, but how can a board justify paying tens of thousands of dollars for new programs that benefit only a small amount of students? Or how the boards in the past, including the majority of this board, go and approve outside consultants, administrative services, and outsourcing of jobs, which our own employees we know the need to be fixed. Look at all other cost-saving options. We can't cut direct positions closely impacting students. How about freezing travel on any and all conferences? Why do we need to send our administration to AXA conferences or CSBA conferences? Those cost money. Last time I checked, maintenance staff would also like to go have a free trip paid for by the district, but they don't get to. But in all seriousness, let's put a freeze on things. So why are we paying all this extra money for consultants? Why are we paying the $100,000 for legal fees? What about the real estate we own? Do we need Santa Barbara Street office, homes on Palm Court, Grant Line properties? This board should take a look at everything first before cutting our employees. In closing, quick fixes are not a good answer. We need fundamental change. And as a result of this budget recovery plan, I'm requesting an audit of overtime pay, an audit on legal fees, and personal audit to find duplication of services and prioritize positions before they're abolished.
I hate to be the bad guy just in this building right now. However, I am elected as your trustee as of right now, I am your trustee, and we have to look at the long range effects on the district as well as the short range. And one of the reasons for making necessary decisions now is that so the state does not take over. Because if the state takes over, I listen to you respectively. I would hope you do the same for me. Okay? The state could take over, and then there would be no school board, and we would have no local control. So, I agree with Mrs. Thompson that we have the time to review 3A and 3B, and we have some time to look at those pending actions, which is convert 2 TK5 schools to 2 TK8 schools, and merging 2 elementary schools into 2 others. So I think we have time for that, so I agree with Mrs. Thompson with that. But frankly, we cannot afford to go forward with some budget recommendations made by the hardworking staff. And they have put many hours and much time into this. And
consultants did.
Please. Thank you. Thank you. So somebody has to speak on behalf of the district, and I am putting myself out there, and whatever happens. But we do need to start taking action now. Ms. Ojeda, I listen to you time and time again and never interrupt you. I expect the same from you. All of you.
Yep.
So that's my position, and I'm willing to have a discussion with my other board members regarding the budget recovery plan. Thank you.
Wow. Impeach?
Just as a reminder, did we vote, 2 weeks ago on, we had an option of doing a big cut right away, a 2-year plan, or a 3-year plan?
Yeah, there was a option 1, do everything in 1 year, option 2, do everything in 2 years, option 3, make the reductions over 3 years.
And what was our vote?
And the direction was make the reductions over 2 years.
Okay, was that unanimous?
I'm not sure if it was unanimous or not, but I took direction from the president and the board.
Was it a vote or?
Just direction.
Just direction,
Yeah.
okay. Just, I'd like to ask our business office what putting this off would mean.
Delaying any reductions, whatever reductions they are, with our current projected deficit spending, we would be eroding our reserves. And currently we're projected to decrease about 5% annually. When I go to the adopted budget in June, I have to add a second year into our multi-year projection. And we're required to demonstrate that we can retain a 3% economic reserve. We would currently be in jeopardy of not making that requirement if all things remain equal.
Have we heard from the county on what we need to do and when?
Well, we do our adopted budget in June and we have interim reporting periods. So for the current year, we did our first interim in December. We certified positive again because we can demonstrate that we make our 3% in the current year plus 2. We'll be doing another interim, the second interim in March, with no reductions. It'll look similar to first interim. And again, we will make it because we're only going to the 21-22 fiscal year. But again, when I go to June, next year is the budget year and I have to add 1 more year to that multi-year projection. So in June, if I cannot demonstrate that we make our 3% in that final year, which would be the 22-23 school year, the county has 3 options. They can either approve our adopted budget, they can conditionally approve our adopted budget with minor changes, and we would have a period of time, 30 or 60 days, to make those changes and resubmit it to the county, or they can disapprove our budget, which would have a little bit more involvement from the county on making our budget approvable. So it's really up to the county how they would like to proceed, and again, how that last year looks.
So could you kind of explain once again why we took the direction of looking at staff as one of the 5 goals?
Right. So when we look over multi-years, and again, the direction previously was to look at a 2-year recovery plan, which splits the reductions into a couple of years. We are projected to deficit spend upwards of $6 million by our 3rd year out. So that's why we split it up into estimated reduction next year of $3 million and the balance in the following year. And if our deficit spending, we will continue to deficit spend if our declining enrollment continues and we're only funded at our COLA level, which basically our revenues will continue to decline until our student population plateaus and or grows. So the reason we chose the 2%, or sorry, the 2-year plan was so that we would slow down the erosion of our reserves. And again, our responsibility according to AB 1200 is to demonstrate that we can meet our economic uncertainty requirement based on our school district size is 3%.
So what would happen if we put a pause? I mean, you've gone over it with us.
So again, looking out, if we made no changes next year, no changes, and we were still facing a deficit spending projection of $6 million in the 2nd and or 3rd year, that would be the amount of cuts we eventually have to make in total, whether it be a proportion of positions and or other cuts. But the reason we're looking at positions, and that's not the only thing that we're looking at, we are considering all other things, being strategic with our categoricals, looking at discretionary spending, reducing that, The reason we look at salaries, benefits, those, because over 80% of our budget is people. And last presentation, the last board meeting, there was, I had a graphic that demonstrated, even if we would have to cut every other expense in the district to make that $6 million cut. That would mean we have no student information system, we have no copiers in our offices, no paper, supplies, materials, and other supporting programs. So obviously we can't make all the cuts there. We will have to look at staff and in whatever fashion.
So if we put a pause, I'd love to see the group that we're talking about and hearing about. If we put a pause, would we be able to make the time requirements that we would have to do legally for staff?
Dr. Torres, you want to answer that question regarding timing and Sanchez Reyes? Certificate and classified, because there's time limits. It's a great question.
By ed code requirements, we are required by March 15th to notify all certificated personnel that they will possibly not have this be in their positions for upcoming school year. So that is the timeline from the certificate standpoint that we are facing. So and that's how we arrived at presenting a resolution at the next board meeting, because we had to look backwards from March 15th.
And that's for certificated?
Yes, so if we do not notify the certificated personnel by March 14th, they are guaranteed, I don't want to say their position, but they are guaranteed to have their pay for one additional year.
And how many staff was that?
Again, going back to, we have management classified, total of 6, classified 9, certificated 6.5.
Okay.
How many districts?
What? Now, I know that you and Senator Chris talked to both certificated and classified. The certificated is coming up ASAP. What is the deadline for?
Ms. Sanchez Reyes, the deadline for classified is 60 days before the end of the year, is that correct?
So we do have a little bit more time on that.
Ms. Sanchez, so we have more time to classify.
How many districts? Why is the question being avoided?
So my task is to get direction from the board.
Can I just speak before we talk about this any further? I didn't prepare anything to say this tonight in written form, because I wanted to see what was going to happen. I wanted to see how the people who came talked and what some of the things that you were thinking were. But I will say this: I have been teaching in this town for 35 years, and I've been working with children as a retired person for longer than that, and then before I started teaching. And I'm 70 now, so all this time since 1975, I've been working in this town with kids all the time. So I care about that a lot, and I know that you do too. I know you do. I work with some of you. I know how you feel about your kids, and
my grandson's at the high school, my other grandson's at Mugu. I know how teachers feel and people who work with kids feel. But this is something that it's like when you are in your household and maybe you make some mistakes and you get in over your head. What are you going to do? Are you going to just, I can tell you when my husband lost his business, and it was an oil field business, we just had to cut everything out. We had to write to the people that we owed money to and say, listen, we'll pay you, but we can't pay you all of this right now. We've got to figure out something. So we worked our fannies off and paid everybody back, and we cut back. And we had to watch our pennies so that we could have some dollars eventually. And so this is not an easy thing at all for anybody. It's not easy for us. We don't just sit up here and whimsically make decisions. Maybe we've made some wrong decisions. Maybe we have. But you know what? Everybody does that. And people have I retired in 2016 so I could run for the school board because people were having such trouble with air conditioning. And I don't want to hear anybody say that putting in air conditioning is ever a bad idea, because the students are suffering and it affects their achievement. And the teachers are quitting. We lost the year I retired another excellent teacher, Annette Halpern, the best ELL teacher we ever had, because she could not take the heat. So I don't want to hear about air conditioning. There are things that we have got to do to make our students comfortable and our teachers comfortable so that they don't get sick. I had 2 heat strokes in my class. So I don't want to hear things like that. There are things that we have to do. And everybody, it's not easy to see people. One of the people that's going to get laid off was a student of mine in high school. Do you know how that makes me feel? It makes me feel terrible. But the thing is, there are things that have to be done. There are. You know what? This is not a discussion. It is my turn to talk. I beg your pardon. I'm talking right now. And I am telling you, this is just the way I feel. I'm not running again because but I'm telling you that we have got to do something. We have got to take action, and it's not pretty, and it never is, and we have to do something. So my feeling is that we look at 3A and 3B, which is all about school mergers and the K through 8 possibility and all those things, and take more time with that. And so that we do get some input from all of you who have obviously a lot of opinions about things, and good opinions. But we need to do that, and that's what I think. Thank you very much.
The district needs to take the same percentage out of the excuse me, out of school.
Is there a way, I know that we are under time constraints for the certificate. I'm feeling that the rest we can still put pause on. I know when we got through district cuts before that I received a pink slip, but there were ways that we figured out that I could come back in the position that I was in. So I just feel we need to cover the district, that we need to go ahead with that part tonight, with the certificate. So Dr. Torres, are we, once those pink slips go out, we can still work to see if there's any way possible to.
So just to let you know, even though we are looking at approximately 10 certificated positions, most of those positions will be absorbed through attrition. So the total number of employees that it's going to affect on the certificate side is not many. Because as more individuals are retiring, we actually be moving individuals based on their credentials into possibly other teaching positions. And the positions that are being recommended for elimination, those individuals will be bumping back into classroom positions that are currently vacant based on our retirements. So we have our natural attrition, which is through resignations as well as retirements. So those most of the positions are going to be going into other positions in the district. So there's very minimal effects to our certificate side. So, and it's always possible that as we have more individuals retire, if they're in single subject categories or those specific credentials, they can actually be placed into those other positions. And those are the individuals we can affect.
So, Dr. Cora, am I correct that we do have the time except for certificate because of the time constraints? And we have a little bit more time on the classified. And we had already talked about making a committee and having input from the community and all the stakeholders. I think that might be the one part where we really need to cover ourselves that way. And I think we've all kind of agreed even before tonight. Thank you for coming and reinforcing the fact that we'd like to have input and have everybody now work on solutions. In all the emails that I've received, I've heard lots of good suggestions. And I hope you know that most of those we already have thought of and we're working towards. But it really reinforced us that there are ideas out there and that we would like to listen. It was the time constraints on certain things that we felt we had to move forward on. So anyway, that's my feelings. If we just move forward on the things that have to be done before the next board meeting, would be certificate is my understanding. Classified, we have a little bit longer. But if we form a committee, give some suggestions, just not complaints. We complain too, but you all have great suggestions. And it sounds like we're agreeing to parts of the budget recovery and the delay on other parts. Is what I'm hearing from at least 3 members. If that's what this board wants to do, I'm okay with it. However, we do need to proceed. We do need to move forward.
I don't think we need to move forward at all with the question. I'm pretty sure we can do it too. Don't cut their own salaries just to work with the kids in San Paulo School District. Why won't our own administration think about doing the same? Why are we paying for outside consultants to help out our district office? I mean, I can't move forward knowing that we spend all this extra money outsourcing and paying for consultants for people to do their job. I'm sorry, but that's why I think we need to just vote no right now and come back with a plan. But I'm not the majority, so that's just my opinion.
From my experience on the board, and as I said in my speech, I've seen many cuts. And even if we did nothing on the budget recovery plan. Again, it's not a plan, it's a suggestion, it's, what ifs. We haven't seen the real numbers, and I commend our staff for saying they have. But this is public money, therefore it needs to be public. Table the budget recovery plan, or even if we passed it, we don't know in another year whether or not we could close one of the schools because someone said there might be a land grant. We don't know if we could close another school because one of the community members said it's on gas lines. We don't know all of these things yet. We're going to have something that we don't know. And the other piece of the puzzle is we really need to consider the reconfiguration of ISCO because we're also facing the two-story building closing at ISCO. That part isn't in any of this. How are we going to, in a year or two, completely close a two-story classroom building at ISCO? None of that's been put down on paper. None of that's been tossed out. And if it has, I commend them. But as a board member, I haven't seen it. I'm kind of a visual person. And again, this is Temecula, as you all know. I live in a very small house, so we can always do more with less and not sacrifice the education of our students.
Should we take a vote? This is an action item. What course do you guys like to follow?
Well, you can do that in mind, but I put a motion on the table, take a second, that, to not approve the budget recovery plan. That's it.
I think we just table it because it doesn't mean, I mean, like Jay said, if we have a deadline to meet and certificated, we have timelines, then we have to do the responsible thing. But as far as this entire recovery plan, it doesn't have really any meat to it. So we table it and we really think about how we want to regroup and make these cuts in the next 2 weeks.
Okay, we've already had discussion. So, do we want to vote on not adopting the budget recovery plan? All those in favor? All those in favor? All those opposed? Opposed. Opposed. Opposed.
Wow. Worthless.
Okay, I think we'll move on to, I move that, because of time limits, we do just the certificated, section, that we move forward, that part of the plan.
Can I ask for clarification? There's 5 pieces to it. Staffing, the no new school harvest, the reconfiguration of schools, working with bargaining units at the table, and the last one is making reduction district-wide and including living all expenditures district-wide. So if we need pieces, I just need direction.
Okay, Madam President, I propose to approve operational cost savings measures 1, 2, 4, and 5.
Right. So, Ms. Lee was saying that maybe 1 with the staffing, we could delay that. Is that
Yes,
something?
with, I do agree with Mrs. Mead's 2, 4, 5, idea to, delay the classified reductions at this time. So the agenda item is the adoption of budget recovery plan. So either you vote no or you vote yes, and you table the item. And then you can get direction afterwards. But you can't piecemeal the agenda item. The agenda item says budget recovery plan, and that's what I mentioned.
So the vote has already been to adopt the recovery plan. So you're saying that we can't? No. Huh? Oh. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. So we want to.
I'll move to approve the budget recovery plan as stated, and we can tweak it as needed. That's what I moved to approve.
We're trying to be helpful. And this is a difficult decision, so please, take some time. So what we want to do is we want to take a look at the staffing, we want to take a look at the configuration of schools. We're going to take a break. We'll be back at 8:40. I'm sorry, 8:40.
I know it's
You actually take notes all night long? Wouldn't it be easier if you recorded it? Yeah. By the way, I brought Liz Garcia down to Pacific High School. See she's taking me Friday. She has a place that's bigger than Pacifica's room to set up the studio. So I told her that start. One of the things that I really wanted to do was I got to get close. Actually, Todd Dearden, he started, like I said last week, he started teaching the kids how to do the technology and not have to worry about the content with sports. So that's what we're actually going to do with the community needs. Pacific is only doing the school. They don't get it. So you and Dan are the keys. What I'd like to do is maybe next Tuesday afternoon set something up. Just so that with this happening, wouldn't it be nice to have this as one of the things? And I was with Dan Silver yesterday. He is basically going to, they have a 2-2 meeting, with the school board and the city. Yes. He asked me if I would make a presentation at that meeting.
Can we mute the sound? Can we mute it again?
It's muted.
No, I got a text that people can hear the conversation.
I don't know.
Okay. All right. The people can hear you.
We got this.
Okay, you don't want to leave it out. Leave it
I will do it.
I feel like Judge Judy. Okay, if you'll all take your seats, we'll get started again. Thank you for taking a little break. Okay, so we're going to, are we going to have a motion? Okay, Ms. Mead?
I'd like to move that we
to move that we adopt the budget recovery plan. We've talked a lot tonight, as an aside, we've talked a lot tonight about what we want and expect to happen with it. But I think we need to start. So I move that we adopt budget recovery plan. Okay, is there a second? Okay. And is there any additional discussion or? Yes. I want to thank everybody for coming. I think Dr. Cora has heard a lot of your comments. We've taken them to heart. There are some time limits we do need to deal with. That doesn't mean they're written in stone, but we have a responsibility to get started. And one way to get started is to start working on it. So even though I made this motion to start, we need your suggestions in the committees to start working on improving it. Thank you. All right, and you seconded? All right, and so any other discussion? All right, if not, we'll take the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
Okay, motion carries 3-2.
Wow. Ooh, wow.
All right, now we're going to go to action item 9B, donations. Approval of donation report to the Santa Paula Unified School District. Staff recommends that the Board of Trustees review and consider approving the donation reports. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve the motion.
A second? Any discussion?
It's really exciting to see that aerospace industries donating to Panama.
All right. Any other discussion? All right, if not, we'll take the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 5-0. 9C, the multi-tiered system of support.
Worthless.
Incorporating multi-tiered system of support for social emotional learning with mental health services grant will supplement our efforts in providing students and mental health support. The mental health counselors will gather data from all our schools and provide additional supports where needed for general as well as crisis intervention services. Staff recommends review and approval of the memorandum of understanding for incorporating multi-tiered system of support for social emotional learning with mental health services grant. Dr. Cora?
We have, the grant's gonna be bringing in $52,700 a year for 3 years. The money will be used to support our mental health counselors to provide services to students.
I move to approve.
Second. Okay, is there any discussion about that? Okay, if not, we'll go for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? And the vote carries 5-0. 9D, the second reading and adoption revision of Board Policy 9223 governing board elections. Approval of the revision to Board Policy 9223 governing board elections due to the recent change into trustee areas. This policy is presented for a second reading and adoption. Do I have a motion to approve? So moved. And a second? Second. Thank you. And is there, it's Dr. Cora, sorry.
That's okay. I'm just, are there any questions regarding the changes to board policy?
All right then, there's no discussion, so we'll go for a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? That carries 5-0. And now we come to number 10, the consent calendar. And this is an action item. Consent items are considered routine and will be enacted by a single motion. None of the items will be discussed unless a board member requests discussion prior to the vote of the motion to adopt the consent calendar.
I need to pull 10A, just A, one of the, unrelated to one of the components. Okay.
So is there a motion to approve 10B through I?
I'd like to pull 10F conference request we've heard tonight about conferences, and I think we should put all conferences on Thursday.
All right, so does someone have a motion to pass 10B through E and G through I?
I move to approve 10B through E and G through I.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. And is there any further discussion? All right, then we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 5-0. All right, now we will go to board member comments or requests. Oh, I'm sorry, I go back to A, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna go around. All right, A, discussion?
So Mr. Reese, you mentioned that you're related to one of the employees on there?
Just one, yeah. So that's why I'm not free. Next week.
Okay.
So I move that we pass the certificated personnel activity report.
Second?
Second.
Second? Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. And all opposed? So that passes 4-0. And 10F, Mr. Luna?
Well, I'm just gonna vote no for conference request at this time, because we heard from public to take a look at our expenditures, and I believe conference requests could be one of those to go on right now.
I have a question on the conferences. Are these conferences that are being paid out of specific funds that they made plans for, attending, etc.? I just turned on my computer. So I think we're the day.
There's a couple things to consider. If people are registered for it already and you don't go, you could lose that money. However, we could make it so if you still want to go, you can pay for your lodging and meals. That's a thought. If things are categorical and specifically for conferences, it's not coming out of general fund, but it's restricted. That's a possibility. Still doing it as well. Other thoughts?
I can provide some clarification on 2. The Educating for Careers is a career technical education conference paid by Title I Site Funds. The second is a Positive Prevention Plus. That's a training that we will provide to one of our health teachers in order to teach the comprehensive sex ed curriculum. And that's going to be our principal's discretionary. That's not an allowable use of a categorical because that content is required by law. So the ones for the business department is essential for you to do business because sometimes it is supposed to go, but it's essential for both to go.
It's not a required conference. It does provide some valuable insight into school business aspects, and you do get a lot of first-hand information on things coming out from the state, but it's discretionary. We don't have to attend.
Okay, I move to approve conferences, Educating for Careers, and Positive Prevention Plus.
Second? All right, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, 10F with those specifications is passed 5-0. Okay, now we'll go on to board member comments and requests. Oh, that was a close. Okay, let's start with Ms. Mead today.
I had two items that I just wanted to mention that I was excited and pleased to attend. The first one was the EL student reclassification at the high school. It's always wonderful to see those students that are just soaring academically in 2 different languages. It's amazing, from the very young ones to the high schoolers that are being reclassified. So I was glad that we were invited and got to attend and recognize those students that have worked so hard. And the second one, another personal level, attending is the basketball team. They made it into the finals, and it was so exciting. My husband and I went and on Saturday and cheered them on. They worked really hard and very proud of them. They placed third, so good for them. Let's go back. I'm going to pass. Mr. Lena.
First of all, I'd like to thank everyone that was in attendance at the meeting. It is essential part of our district that our employees speak on behalf of their students, which they advocated for tonight. As for request, I noticed when we were looking at contract fees, all that, the media person. So I'm just requesting all the media correspondence that has been sent to our district office that may not have been publicized. And I want to know why that has been publicized, or is it on Facebook? I want to know how many write-ups have been done since we put that position into place. Not because I want to cut that, but because we are low in enrollment, and I want to make sure that we are doing everything we can to keep students within this district. So if we're doing a bunch of positive things and they're not being published somewhere, I want to know why.
So, quick question, Mr. Wood, for clarification. So, not the stories that have gone out, the stories that haven't gone out.
So, anything that's come to you in regards to whatever the job description says, you know, if they've written up 100 articles, we only publicize 10 on Facebook or whatever. I just want to know how many have been sent to you and how many have been used and why they're used. So.
All right, Ms. Curious.
Yes, I had the opportunity to attend the Martin Luther King celebration at the Presbyterian Church on Sunday, January 19th. And the reason I mention it is that our jazz band played some songs, and of course they did a remarkable job. And so I'm glad to see Santa Clara High School Jazz Ensemble do that presentation for the Martin Luther King. On Monday, March 9th, the Ventura County School Board Association will have professional development for trustees, and it will be regarding the vaping dilemma facing schools. And so I hope all my fellow trustees can attend that. And I'm glad to see that we're making progress on the transgender restrooms. We're going forward and not backward. And I think that's key here, that we keep moving. We keep moving on the issue, and that it keeps getting developed and we make progress. And that's what I'm hearing. And the robotic team project was excellent. Our teacher was very lucky to have him. And I'm very glad he was here with his students to present that. And I don't know whether to say this or not, but everybody in the district got a raise except Dr. Ford. Okay? So everybody here got a raise except the board, which doesn't matter from Dr. Ford. So I just wanted to make that statement. That he did not ask for one. He didn't.
And the assistant superintendents as well. So anyway, and it's tough to be up here. It's not easy to be a trustee. Sometimes you make decisions everybody likes, and sometimes you don't. But we do the best we can with the information we have. And I appreciate those of you who acted professionally, and that's what you expect from us, and that's what we expect from our audience. So thank you very much for staying to the very end, and we appreciate you coming.
Mrs. Thompson, may I add one thing? Yes, of course. At some point, may we get an update on what's going on with the census? Because it was my understanding that some things would be going out through the schools, that we were allowed to send some information home to parents and encourage them to participate because it affects funding in our county. Thank you. I only have one thing, and I also went to the reclassification at Santa Paula High School with all of the students that had earned that award, and it was a beautiful award on a chain with a medal, and they were so proud of themselves, and the parents were there, and they were just glowing because they were so proud of their children. So, and I just want to say, the last thing I want to say is that we're all in this together. None of us are making decisions because we're flighty and we really don't care. We really do believe that what we make decisions on is the right thing to do. And the last time I checked, this was a free country, and it's good to have diversion so that the right things can get done. And I think tonight we heard the people who came, and I think that we, going forward with this budget plan, will maybe change some things and maybe look at things differently. And nothing's set in stone right now. So I think it was a very profitable meeting. I'm pleased. And with that, we are going to adjourn back into closed session at 9. I can't believe it's so short. 9:03. Thank you so much for coming.